So let's now dig into the study. The first thing you see in chapter 37, is Joseph was a very young man during this time. How old was he?
17.
I can't hear you.
17.
How do we know that?
It says it
Because
in
the Bible
verse
says
2.
so.
It says it right there in verse 2. Joseph being 17 years old is what it says. The reason why I'm outlining that is because if you look at the end of chapter 7, this chapter 37, I want you to notice that the Bible says in verse 36, the Midianites had sold him, Joseph, in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Sold a young man of 17 years old into the hands of people who he probably did not know. Can you imagine what's going on in this young man's life? Like right now, he's probably, what in the world? At 17 years old. Think about what we would have thought at such an age if we were by our own family member, brothers. Not only threw into a pit, sold me for silver, Sharon just said. And then if that wasn't enough, now he's in a land known as Egypt and under the authority of an officer of a Pharaoh and a captain of the guard named Potiphar. Think about that predicament right there. Now, I want you to see why he was in this predicament. And I'm getting ahead of myself just a little bit, but you see how this passage just comes alive practically. Notice verse 12 there. Then Joseph's brothers, went to feed their father's flock in a place called Shechem. And Israel, that's Jacob's name, it's Israel here because in chapter 32, God dealt with him and changed his name to Israel. But here, his dad, his father, says to Joseph, are not your brothers feeding a flock in Shechem? Come on over here. I'm going to send you to them. So he goes and does what his dad told him to do, and he finds himself at the end of it being sold to a man that he didn't even know. And keep that tucked away, all right? The next thing is he dreamed dreams of being someone. Remember, he's only 17 years old. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Does that ring a bell? At a very young age, do you remember having dreams of what you wanted to be or what you might be? Right? I can't hear you. I hear you. Right? Just think about it. I mean, I know that for me, I never became a lawyer. When my dad used to ask me what I wanted to be, I used to just say lawyer. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's because I used to watch Perry Mason. I don't know. Maybe I used to watch those shows that had to do with a lawyer and all that, and I just saw it on TV. So I said, all right, Dad, you just asked me, what do I want to be? I want to be a lawyer, right? Had no idea that one day I'd be a minister or a man that represents God's kingdom. But think about this, though. He dreamed dreams of being someone, all right? If you have a pen and paper, I want you to write down chapter 42 of Genesis. I want to read that. Just really quickly, if you can, write down, read chapter 42 of Genesis. What you'll find there is his dreams came true. The dreams that he had, if you look closely at them, of him going to his brothers, going to his parents and saying, I've had a dream and this is what I believe I'm going to do. We know what they did to him, know how they felt about that. But he turned out to be right. And we pause right there and we ask the question, does our children or the children that we have here in this ministry, do they kind of come up sometime and be talking about what they think they can do, what they believe they can be? What should we do? What should we do with that? Mrs. Robinson has her hand over here and she's like doing it like a fan. You know what she's doing, right?
Flame.
Fan that flame. What could have we developed into if we took our dreams that we used to take to people? Because I know everybody here did. You can think back to when you just was so amazed with something you saw or heard, and you just had to tell somebody about it. Look closely at this right here. Verse 5, it says, now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. Right? So he said to them, please hear this dream which I have dreamed. Can you see his heart there? Can you think back to when you used to tell somebody, you know what, I really think that I can do this. I had a dream, and I don't know all of what it meant, but I think that, and then somebody turned and said, really? Like, who do you think? You understand what I'm saying? And it kind of crushed your spirit. It kind of like made you think like, can I really do that? Could they be right? You understand the picture that I'm painting here? Instead of that person fanning what you said you wanted to do or what you believed you can do, they kind of said something that smashed it or caused you at some point to say, well, maybe I might not be able to do that. And that thing that you wanted to do is pushed to the side. That's what happened with Joseph here. He was also a part of a home that had its struggles. He was also a part of a home that had its struggles. If you look closely at this event, this picture that's painted by this story, you see all types of stuff in this household that is no different than what has happened in our own household. My household, I can tell you there was a whole lot of stuff that went on. You think back to maybe in your own household, maybe you remember all the stuff that you was like, what is going on, right? Anybody relate to what we're seeing here in this passage? Can you relate to it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Notice verse 4, but when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. So there was hate in this household. There was no peace in this household. He tells his dream, and the Bible indicates that they hated him even more. Like, who do you think you are? Instead of saying, keep right on going, Joseph. We believe in you. We know you can do it. Turns out that, like I said, you read chapter 42, he knew exactly what he was talking about. The dreams he was having, God brought it to pass in his life. Verse, go ahead, babe. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mrs. Robinson.
You're getting to it. Go ahead.
Verse 9, he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers and said, look, I have dreamed another dream. And this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bow down to me. Now, I'll tell you right now, he's talking about his brothers, his family, and he's talking about mom and dad. And obviously, they realized what he was talking about. Because if you look at verse 10, notice it says, so he told it to his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you? Like, boy, you better take your butt outside somewhere. Who do you think you are? And all he's doing is just the happiest young man you want to be, because he know that he had a dream about something, and he just want to tell somebody about it. I don't know about you, but I can see him doing cartwheels in the house. You can see him just running around all over everywhere. I need to tell somebody about what I believe that I'm going to do. You remember how you was. I remember how I was. Notice right here it says his own dad, who, remember, picked him as his favorite. Now all of a sudden, why am I not your favorite now? I'm telling you what I believe I can do. You done made me a coat of many colors. I'm standing out. You done picked me to be the favorite. And now I'm trying to tell you what I believe I can do. And you going to rebuke me? Wait a minute, Dad. Hold up. Wait a minute. You kidding me? Praise his holy name. But that's exactly what happens. And at this point, notice verse 11. Notice verse 11. And his brothers envied him. But his father kept the matter in mind. His brothers moved from hating him, and it graduated to now we envy you. Who do you think you are? Now, this is his own brothers. Duh. I'm just telling you what I think I can be. But his dad held on to that thing. His dad said, might be something here. Shouldn't a father do that? If there's anyone in the household that should really lay hold, I'm not ruling out the mom and the love that a mom can have for their daughter or for their son, fanning that dream. And most of the time, a mom will do that. A mom will fan that thing, and she'll keep telling them, you can do it, you can do it. And the father should do the same thing. The father in a household, if he's that father that God can develop him to be, he should have his eyes on that thing right there. He should be really, really trying to develop whatever he sees in that child, so that that child can be what God has called him to be. You see it at the end of it, but his father kept this matter in mind. You got something, babe? No. Okay, anybody got anything out there? Oh, chime in, come on, put something on the table for us.
I mean, we could relate to like our life now, where family members and friends with the hatred and being envious of one another because of many different reasons, whether the accomplishment that they have or the material stuff. That's happening today.
Yeah. I mean, you probably can, if you was a fly on the wall in every household across the land, there will be only a few where you see the parent saying, you know what, I believe that God's going to use you to do what you believe you can do. Right? I think the majority of households, they be like, yeah, okay. And I'm not saying that, you know, the majority of homes don't make the effort to try to develop what it is that the child believes that they can do. I'm not saying that we don't have probably a great many of homes where the parents do that. I'm only saying that it's quite possible that the scale leans more to the side of you don't have that positive response for whatever reason. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I'm just reminded, we were watching that thing the other day about Jason Tatum,
Yes.
and he was in school and they they all had to stand up and say what they wanted to be when they grew up, and he said he wanted to be an MBA, in the NBA, and like the teacher rebuked him and said, you need to pick a more realistic goal, and like all the kids laughed at him and made fun of him, and he just worked harder, and he's in the championship.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics. Yeah, I mean, his own teacher in school told him, you might want to pick something that's a little bit more sense. And, you know, he talked about how it just drove him to want to do it even more. And this is only his 4th or 5th year in the league, and he's in the championship round. 2 more games. We hope Celtics win, right? And he wins the championship, and he makes his teacher. I'll tell you right now, whoever it was, they're probably saying, I shouldn't have said that to that boy. Or they might be saying, I won't do that to another one,
Yeah.
which is what should be the response. Because he proved me wrong, even though I didn't believe in it. The other thing you see here is that he wanted his family to rejoice with him about his dreams. Listen, for him to take courage and go tell his family about his dreams, he wanted a positive response out of it. He didn't want to hear them saying, something's wrong with you. Think about, and I want to be clear with this. This is just for our encouragement as we move forward with children. Or a 17-year-old like he was. All that lad or lass wants is a little bit of encouragement. Because they may not be certain of what they're saying they believe they can do. They want to share it. They're giddy about it. They're really excited about it. The more they hear themselves say it, the more they believe they can do it. Right? Isn't that what the Bible actually teaches? That faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. It's the same thing in just general terms when you speak about, hearing yourself saying you can do something over and over and over again. It builds your confidence. And so the fact that he goes to his brother, he wants them to say, you can do it. And we should listen closely. I'll tell you, and I'll say that for myself when the children come up in the sanctuary, and Sharon or Jenna or whoever has been working with them, bring them up and they come up to me and they're trying to say something. I need to lean in more. Trying to put stuff away, and, rightly so, but, I say that to myself as well. I want to lean in and listen to the children because they're trying to say something that is for their future. And, we want to be that type of people for them. Let's move on. Go ahead, yes.
I was just going to say, I know Jacob was taken back by it when Joseph had said it, but I think it was wise of Jacob to keep it in his mind. Like, he still thought it was possible, even though he didn't, tell Jacob that, and he should have. But I also, I read a story earlier. I don't know if you guys read it. I think it was the Indianapolis Colts. Some young man that plays for them decided to retire at 26 and follow God's plan for his life. And that, I was really encouraged by it, because a lot of young people are distracted by other things and money, and especially the NFL player, getting a lot of money or whatever. He was more concerned about doing God's work than being a big famous person in everybody's eye, at least hopefully, as that's what he said. And then just what you were saying before, it reminded me a little bit that I was talking to Jayla earlier, because we were talking about what she wants to be when she grows up. And I was saying when we were in high school, when we thought we wanted to do something, sometimes they would allow us to do stuff, but you might get into something and then you're that seems okay, but then when you actually try it, you don't know. So I told her to try a bunch of different things and see what she really likes and enjoys and what she's good at. And I was just thinking about how when I was younger, I didn't get to do things like that. And like sometimes when you talk to people that are older than you, like not only sometimes are they not supportive like of what you're doing, but some of it's because of like they want to live through you and they want you to do what they wanted to do or what they weren't able to do, or they're like discouraging. Like I know when I went to college, I heard, well, why do you need to go to college? We didn't go to college. Like you don't have to go to college. It's not good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things going on like in people's mind when they don't say good things, and it does, I think, drive people to want to do it. But I think we should always encourage our kids to go for what they want to do.
Yeah, that's good. It's very good. Amen. Very, very good. Very good. All of these, go ahead, Sharon, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, when I was a senior in high school, I knew what I wanted to do and what I loved doing, and I was discouraged. So somebody said to me, like, you shouldn't do that because of X, Y, Z, right? And unfortunately, I listened to it, and then I would say I never found, like in work, I wound up being passionate about stuff that I did, but I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up because I knew earlier and I didn't follow that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's good words, ladies. Very, very good words. All of these things were here in this young man's life. And again, we start out talking about him only being 17 years old. And now he finds himself, we rewind to that time where he's now living in the house of a man he doesn't even know. And mind you, he's there because his dad said, go find your brothers, right? And we can relate to these things and we can build from them. I want to move to chapter 12. I want to move to verse 12, but I don't want to move in another direction because I believe we lift some good stuff from that section. All right, it's about 7:35 or thereabouts. Between now and Sunday, I am going to seek to deliver what I've jotted down here from verses 12 to verse 17. Sunday, we're hoping to continue to encourage any fathers who might show up. Guys, let's give the Lord a round of applause for the things that we've seen here tonight. I'm so grateful for you guys coming out. The Lord is good. I just keep saying it.
All the time.
He is just so good to us. And we're going to be great examples when it comes to, look, even if it's a 20-year-old, that's still trying to figure out their way, we can speak into their lives and say, you can do it. You can be what God's ordained for you to be. That's what we want to be here in this ministry.